The time is 5 p.m., and we begin with our top story. A significant and deadly attack has marked a severe escalation in the ongoing tensions along the Pak-Afghan border. Initial reports emerging from the remote Kurram district indicate a complex assault involving heavy weaponry and resulting in substantial casualties on both sides. Local authorities and military sources, speaking on condition of anonymity due to the sensitivity of the operation, confirmed that the attack was launched from the Afghan side of the border in the early hours of this morning. The assault specifically targeted a Pakistani military outpost known as Post 47, which is considered a strategic location for monitoring militant movement in the area. The sound of intense gunfire and multiple explosions echoed through the valleys for several hours, causing panic among the local civilian population, who were forced to flee their homes or take shelter in basements. The Pakistani military, in an official statement released just an hour ago, has confirmed that its forces effectively repelled the attack after a fierce firefight that lasted for nearly 6 hours. The statement from the Inter-Services Public Relations, or ISPR, praised the bravery and resilience of the soldiers who defended their position against a numerically superior force. However, the statement also contained the somber news that at least 7 Pakistani soldiers made the ultimate sacrifice, embracing martyrdom during the course of the engagement. Furthermore, over a dozen personnel sustained injuries of varying severity and have been evacuated to a combined military hospital for urgent medical treatment. The military's media wing was careful in its wording, stating that a significant number of attackers were neutralized during the counter-operation, but did not provide a precise figure. Intelligence assessments, still preliminary, suggest the attacking force consisted of several dozen well-armed militants. The ISPR statement strongly asserted that the terrorists who carried out the attack had the full support and safe haven of sanctuaries located inside Afghanistan. This direct accusation places further strain on the already fraught diplomatic relationship between Islamabad and the de facto Taliban government in Kabul. The Pakistani military has repeatedly called on the Afghan Taliban to deny territory and resources to militant groups, particularly the Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, or TTP, which Islamabad holds responsible for the majority of recent attacks on its soil. In response to these events, the Pakistani government has summoned the senior-most Afghan diplomat in Islamabad to the Foreign Office to lodge a formal and forceful protest. Official sources describe the démarche as strongly worded, condemning the use of Afghan territory for launching attacks against Pakistani security forces. Pakistan is expected to demand immediate and verifiable action from the Afghan interim government to dismantle the TTP operational bases and prevent any future cross-border incursions. The Afghan Taliban spokesperson, Zabihullah Mujahid, has issued a brief statement from Kandahar, denying any involvement of Afghan forces in the incident. The statement reiterated the Taliban's commitment to not allow its territory to be used for attacks against any other country, a key part of the 2020 Doha agreement. However, Mujahid's statement stopped short of explicitly condemning the TTP or acknowledging the group's presence within Afghanistan, a point of continued contention between the two neighboring nations. This attack is not an isolated incident, but represents a dangerous new peak in a rising wave of violence that has gripped the region since the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan in August 2021. The TTP, an ideological ally of the Afghan Taliban, has seen a dramatic resurgence in its operational capabilities and territorial reach. Analysts believe the group now operates with greater impunity from Afghan soil, launching increasingly bold and complex attacks into Pakistan. The group's stated aim is to impose its harsh interpretation of Sharia law in Pakistan's tribal regions and beyond. Security experts we spoke to are deeply concerned about this latest development. Dr. Ayesha Siddiqa, a senior defense analyst, stated that this attack signifies a major shift in the TTP tactics and capabilities. She noted that the scale and coordination of the assault suggest careful planning and possibly new sources of funding and armament. This incident, she warns, could represent a tipping point, forcing Pakistan's hand into considering more robust and direct military responses, which carries the inherent risk of a wider, cross-border conflict. The human cost of this ongoing conflict continues to mount. From the local communities living in the border regions, we are hearing harrowing accounts of displacement and fear. Many families who had only recently returned to their homes after previous cycles of violence are once again being uprooted. Local administration officials in Kurram have confirmed that emergency relief efforts are underway, with temporary camps being established to provide shelter, food, and medical aid to those affected by the fighting. The provincial government in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has declared a high alert in all districts bordering Afghanistan, bolstering security at checkpoints and increasing patrols in urban centers to prevent any potential retaliatory terrorist strikes. The federal government in Islamabad is scheduled to hold an emergency meeting of the National Security Committee tomorrow. The Prime Minister is expected to chair the meeting, which will be attended by the country's top military leadership, intelligence chiefs, and key cabinet ministers. The agenda is singular: to formulate a comprehensive national response to this grave security challenge. Options on the table are believed to range from intensified diplomatic pressure to more kinetic cross-border counter-terrorism operations, though no final decision has been made. The international community is also watching these developments with growing apprehension. A spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary-General issued a brief comment urging maximum restraint from all parties and calling for a peaceful resolution to the underlying tensions. The United States State Department, while not issuing an official statement yet, has been closely monitoring the situation. Washington has its own complex set of concerns regarding the Taliban government and the presence of various terrorist groups in the region. This escalating conflict presents a significant challenge to regional stability and to international efforts aimed at preventing Afghanistan from becoming a safe haven for global terrorism once again. China, Pakistan's closest ally and a major investor in the country through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, has a vested interest in the stability of the region. Beijing has previously mediated discreetly between Islamabad and the Taliban government in Kabul. It is likely that Chinese diplomats will be in contact with both sides in the coming days, urging de-escalation. The economic implications of this renewed conflict are also significant. The Pak-Afghan border is a crucial conduit for trade and transit, and prolonged closures or security disruptions have a severe impact on local economies and on formal and informal trade networks. The Chaman and Torkham border crossings, the two main trade arteries, have been frequently closed in recent months due to security concerns and diplomatic spats, causing millions of dollars in losses to traders on both sides. This latest attack will only deepen the economic uncertainty in the region. As night falls over the rugged terrain of Kurram district, a tense calm has returned, but it is a calm fraught with anxiety. Pakistani military reinforcements have been deployed to the area, and surveillance drones are reportedly patrolling the skies. The fear among local residents and analysts alike is that this attack may not be the end, but rather the beginning of a new and more violent chapter in the long-standing Pak-Afghan conflict. The lines are being drawn more sharply, the rhetoric is hardening, and the space for diplomatic solutions appears to be shrinking. The choices made by the governments in Islamabad and Kabul in the coming days will be critical in determining whether this conflict can be contained or if it is destined to spiral further into a wider conflagration with unpredictable consequences for the entire South Asian region. The world waits and watches, hoping for calm, but preparing for the possibility of more stormy headlines from this perpetually troubled frontier. That concludes our in-depth report on this developing story. We will, of course, continue to bring you any updates as they emerge. For now, from all of us here at the newsroom, we thank you for watching.